Over at Steve's house, so right now we're getting ready to do some service on a Toro SnowMaster 724. Toro sent me a bunch of snow blowers to test out for him. So I dropped on over at Steve's place because we have a lot of snow coming this week and I don't want him to be stuck. So Steve and I are going to walk around this. We're going to show you how to drain the oil out of it, how to fill it back up, how to change the spark plug if you had to, and how to check the oil level. There's a certain procedure on how to do that. We'll kind of explain why in the video.
All right, so we have our 212cc engine that we're going to do a service on. We'll show you how to change the spark plug on it. Takes 20 pounds of air pressure in the tire. So once a year, or at least every other year, you guys should change the oil on it, depending on how much use you had on it. The oil is clean in this thing. We're going to change it, so we can show you anyways. We'll check the tire pressure, make sure they're at 20 pounds. Every year you walk around your snow blower, you're going to want to check your feet on it to make sure that these are still intact, they're not breaking. These are a wearable item. We have a spark plug here in the back of the engine. We're going to take the boot off after we get done doing the oil change, and we'll show you how to pull that plug out and inspect the spark plug to make sure that the electrode is good on it. And depending on your use, you may get more than 2 years out of the spark plug, but you should at least check it. You run a little piece of sandpaper across it to get it clean. We're going to change the oil on it. It takes 530 motor oil. Tony said he looked up in the Toro book, and they tell you to check the oil without it threaded in. So on this side over here, we've removed the cap and it's unthreaded. We're going to wipe the stick down. Now, the oil, mind you, is clean, so it's going to be difficult to see it. But it comes right up to the full mark, hot right there, right where my fingernail would be. So if you're a whisker over, it ain't a big deal. But we want to be really close to that. So we're going to set that in. On the drain plug over here, it's got a nice extension on it. We got it up on our step right here. The extension tube, you normally just put a little wrench on it, 13 millimeter, and then we're going to crack this 10 millimeter loose. And we're holding the extension so it doesn't unthread from the engine. And we're going to drain the oil out of it. And while we're letting the oil drain on it, we're going to remove the plug and we'll check the plug on it. And then that's going to let the oil drain out. We'll tip it back at the end, trying to get all of the rest of the oil out. It's going to take close to a quart, like 7/10, Tony was saying. So we'll put that in and then we'll check it and see how close we are with the level. And we're going to check our tire pressures. So the first thing you do, if you drain the oil on it, we have time to check our tire pressures. We have time to pull the spark plug out, and the oil is just going to do its thing draining. You're going to overlook the machine to make sure all your cables are intact, make sure everything's moving. This thing has a nice hand grip to swivel everything, which is pretty cool. It's got some movable items on it. Seems to be there's a good amount of plastic on it, but we're going to see how it holds out this year. It's very consumer friendly as far as the weight of the thing goes. I'm a bigger guy, but I don't want a giant, snow blower. Personally, I don't need one. So this is really a good size for most people, and if the ladies have to use it, I would suggest this machine is a good size. It has the push for your speed to go forward, just like a lawnmower, like a self-propel, which is a pretty neat function. And so we got the oil changing on it right now. Let's check our tire pressures, then we'll get our plug out, and we'll keep going. Okay, we're about 16 pounds, so we're going to get the airline going. We're going to fill this up and check the other one. About the same on this one. So we're going to fill these up and then we'll get the plug out of it, spark plug out of it. Little tires fill really quickly, so we overfilled this one. Just gonna give them a quick little shot. Go for 20 pounds. Alright, we're 21, good. Alright, the oil's still draining on it. Let's get the spark plug socket, get that out. And we're gonna remove the boot right here. Just a little twisty boot. Comes off. We're gonna put a little dab of dielectric grease on the inside of this boot so it stays protective and lubricated. And it looks like it's a 13/16 plug. It's a little tight. Put a little spark plug boot on it to pull it out.
If you have an old piece of gas line, you could do the same thing. I'll leave the extension on it.
So we're looking at our plug, our electrode, our tip is nice and clean on it, so we're comfortable with that. We're going to put this back in. This is not corroded, so yeah, it looks great. So this has a Bosch spark plug original equipment in it, and it looks like an F7RTC spark plug. And we checked the gap on it, it's like 26 thousandths, normally around 25, 27. So that's gonna get you close enough to start it and it'll be fine. So this is the original equipment plug right here, Bosch. And that's the number on it right there. So we're gonna put the boot back on. We checked the gap, it's fine. The plug electrode is nice and clean. We're gonna thread it back in. It's a 13/16 plug. Pretty snug in there. We're going to get a little 1-inch extension and see if it gives us a little more wiggle room. So we got a little 1-inch extension wobbly on our socket, and it made the world of difference. And that's it. We're just a little snug with it. We're going to get the dielectric grease. We're going to put it on the inside of our boot a little bit and flip this back on. And the tune-up, there's no air filter on any of these, so you have a spark plug boot we're going to put back on. We checked our tire pressures, and we're doing the oil service on it. And like I said, do your basic inspection of your cables, make sure nothing looks frayed or anything, and you'll be good for the winter. So we got our dielectric grease, just putting a little squeeze in here. Just putting a little blob in there, that's it. And that's just going to keep this boot lubricated in here. Find its way onto the plug. And it just snapped in place, and we're good. You want to make sure your wire isn't rubbing on the metal or anything. Everything is good there. We got our things filled up. We're going to tip the machine back a little here and see if we can get any more oil to drain out of this thing. And there's not much more coming out of it, so we're pretty close with that. And there ain't a lot in this pan, so you know it's going to be just a whisker less than a quart of oil, it appears. You can do this right on the ground. We have it up in the air, so it's a little easier for you guys to see it. 10mm plug. It's got a little gasket on here, a little metal gasket. Just make sure there's no debris on that. It looks clean. We're going to snug it up. Get my ratchet back. Alright, we're going to tighten that plug up here. We're putting a wrench on this, which is a 13. Snug is good. Alright, so that's good. We're going to get the oil in it now. It's 530 motor oil. We got a little small funnel over here that we're using. And it's right next to the starter. Look how cute the little starter is. So we're going to get our oil in there. And you know, everybody's got their own opinion on gas stabilizers, fuel stabilizers, I should say, how they want to do it. We normally run them out at the end of the year, make sure they're empty, and we store them like that. I normally keep it indoors. A lot of people leave them outdoors. So, you know, whatever your preference is on that, but we like to run them empty and then fire them off in the spring. So. All right, it's only splurging, nothing but the best. Full synthetic Pennzoil here, so we're gonna go with a half a quart, and then we're gonna start checking our level. And the best thing is, if you overfill it, you can pull some out of the plug. Just sit it down on top. Okay, we're about 3/4 of the way up the stick. It's pretty, there's probably 3/16 of an inch before it gets to the high level, the hot level, pardon me. We're about half a quart right now. Okay, we're right at the H. Like I said, it may be a whisker over, but we're good, you know. And we have used, for this service, it's got a rubber gasket on it. You don't have to torque it down too much to snug it up. And we have used probably 3/4 of this quart. So we have about 10 ounces left in this quart. So, not bad.
If you guys have any questions, leave a comment and a question in the comment area. I'll reply back to you. Thanks for watching the video, guys.